Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzzWeaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, social media, technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. If you guys are new here or you are a frequent visitor, I would encourage both of you guys now to click on that watermark down there in the bottom right-hand corner to subscribe, along with that notification bell so you guys will know when the latest Friday Vlog is available, as well as content that's here on the channel. This week in gaming, Firaxis released its big June patch update for Civilization VI Gathering Storm. We see changes across the entire game to include UI, AI balances within the game, changes and modifications. It is quite an extensive list, so I will put a link down in the published section below. I did start a game shortly after the patch, and I am liking the new changes. Also this week, June the 20th, Thursday, we saw the release of Sundan for Battlefield. So DICE is putting out some new quality maps for us. So that's quite exciting, and I'm looking forward to future maps that will be released. And of course, the Pacific Theater with the United States coming out in October. I will include that information down in the published section also. Get woke, go broke, a common phrase that you have heard here on the channel. You may have even heard it across social media and even within pop culture. It is a topic that we have discussed before as it relates to game platforms and business and industry within the United States. But in this particular case, it is now involving big education. If you want to call a 2,400 student campus a big education scenario, but nonetheless, it is from a college in Ohio, Oberlin College. And I want to read from the article itself because it is quite interesting, and I will kind of paraphrase some things within it as we go along. But even in Oberlin's quiet season, the nation has felt reverberations from the small city, now home to a high-profile legal case that awarded a family-run business, the Gibson's Bakery, $44 million. Gigantic, huge. As a matter of fact, this Gibson, I think it's a candy, ice cream, and bakery, has been owned by this family since the 1800s, the late 1800s. So it's generational, or generations of family members have worked here. With punitive damages set at $33 million, on top of an existing $11 million compensatory award against Oberlin College this week. That is gigantic. That is huge. Now, the parameters of it is all going to depend on Ohio and within the city and maybe the community as far as how much money is actually distributed. Now, I have seen like a breakdown of who was getting what money as far as the Gibson family themselves, but typically in situations like this, businesses usually fold or they settle out of court, or they, obviously the purpose of many of these antagonistic type things and assaults and protests are usually to try to shut everyone down, as we've discussed many times here. The Gibson family sued the college following student protest and a boycott of the shop sparked by a November 9, 2016 incident in which a black college student attempted to shoplift wine from their shop. The student and two friends, also black, faced arrest after an employee and grandson of the store's owner, who is white, followed the student out of the shop and a physical altercation occurred. Now, of course, you heard me describe the particular descriptions of the individuals and the occurrences. Now, of course, we could say that's for descriptive purposes, that's for the article and so forth, but that kind of really shows you the lens, the laser focus on what people are actually looking at. Now, for me personally, I always look at people as people. And if situations occur, it involves people, and these are the particular situations. Yes, for the purposes of report writing, police records, and articles and news, yes, the specifics are important. But we've seen how the mainstream media presents some of these cases depending on who the particular subject is or who the particular individuals are that are involved in these. But nonetheless, this was a gigantic go woke, get broke case in which this university was encouraging and inciting the students to take action against this very small family-owned bakery, and it was just really shameful. This should be across all of media. Unfortunately, it is not, but it is one that if you are interested in the story, I will publish links to it down in the public section below. By all means, take a look at this. This was extraordinary. Now, it did make mainstream media, but it was very quiet. It was one of those things where it was, here's a case that involves this, here's a case that involves that. But in any situation, usually, that involves something where a university, for example, that is universities in the United States are known for their progressivism, although it is, again, a laser focus type thing. It isn't every university, all cases, all situations, all people. But nonetheless, it is a situation where they go, get woke, go broke, progressive, protesting type crowd, outrage mobs, lost miserably. And in many cases, a lot of these institutions, groups, organizations, people do have all this stuff backfire. Another thing that we have talked about here on the channel. But nonetheless, guys, I would strongly encourage you to check out the additional information that I'll have down in the public section below. Facebook has announced that it will be entering into the cryptocurrency market, suggesting, as it says in the Wall Street Journal article that I will link down below, that they are trying to be a competitor to Bitcoin. Well, I'm not sure about that part of it, but what is interesting is how Facebook operates in and of itself. We have already seen that many of the users, say millennials and younger, have pretty much abandoned the platform, which is why I don't have like a channel dedicated account there on Facebook. I still have my own personal account on Facebook. But nonetheless, we have also seen a lot of scrutiny as it involves Facebook. And of course, we've seen Zuckerberg there at Capitol Hill answering for some of those things, such as, why did you leak this information out? Why is data of users being sold? Say, for example, when we covered the Cambridge Analytica situation a few months back. But nonetheless, I find it interesting because, as you know, as we have discussed here on this channel, we've seen individuals who are banned from these platforms. What happens if these individuals have earned this particular type of coin? What if, for example, Facebook has worked out with certain vendors and registrars and other people that do business in exchange for this libracoin, which is what they're calling it, libracoin? So what happens when you get banned? Or what happens if these tech giants, as we've seen do before, get involved with each other, which is why I hope the FTC pursues their antitrust? What happens when these platforms get together to try to shut people down through other means? For example, we've seen, how individuals have been shut down out of Chase, been shut down out of Visa, had their Patreon accounts shut down. What happens to these individuals when Facebook decides that, hey, you're on our platform, you've owned this coin? What happens? What happens to these individuals, I wonder? Now, of course, I mentioned that kind of in a hyperbolic sense, but it is something to think about because it is something that we have talked about, how these tech giants work together to shut people down. And if they start, say, for example, creating markets, that's a concern, because maybe there may be parts of this market that are part of, everyday function of currency and the free market system here in the States. And who's to say that Facebook or the tech giants wouldn't suggest to these particular vendors that are legitimate ones that we use every single day that, hey, this person is a disruptive member in society. This person is a disruptive member on our platform. This person holds views that is wrong think and doesn't subscribe to what would be polite society. I mean, there's all kinds of things that could potentially go wrong here. Now, I know I sound like kind of a negative person, particularly since I am a free market supporter and I enjoy capitalism, but nonetheless, it is something very curious. I did share it within the social media community and so forth. It doesn't seem to be as big of an issue to most people in general. A lot of the lay people and normies that are on Facebook probably aren't particularly familiar with blockchain technology and crypto. As a matter of fact, those of you who are watching may be on DTube from Steemit and or even Minds, where we do have cryptocurrency there and have for quite some time. It's a very nice platform and it's a very nice, interesting exchange, particularly, with it being decentralized and of course being a decentralized alternative platform as well is also very helpful. But nonetheless, I wanted to share that information with you guys, and I will put a link down in the publish section below so you guys can check that out. And that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. Thank you guys so very much for your likes, shares, and comments, as they are very important to the channel and very easy to use. So right now, take a moment and click that like button down there. And if you haven't already, be sure you click on the icon appearing right here on the screen to subscribe, along with that notification, so you guys will know when the Friday vlogs are available, along with additional content that's here on the channel. And I will see you guys right there behind the camera next Friday.